the other room.
Wait, I want to show you guys my faces. Look how cool these guys are. Boom, boom.
Hello, you are on air with Aaron. Welcome to another video. I think this one will be pretty interesting. At least, I hope so. I asked you guys a little while on Instagram to ask me questions about my job, anything that you wanted to know. I got lots of really good foundational questions and detailed questions too that I hope to dive in entirely in this video. If it runs too long, I might make a part 2. And some of my friends asked multiple questions at once, so I'm probably gonna answer a couple of questions from the same person, which is awesome. So without further ado, let's just dive right in. Question number 1. How early do I wake up and how long does it take for me to get camera ready? Oh boy, well I wake up at 2:30 a.m. if I'm reporting. I wake up at 3 o'clock a.m. if I'm anchoring. And I'd like to think that I've gotten getting camera ready down to a science. I can do my hair and my makeup, pretty much the look that you see right now. I can do this in about 20 to 25 minutes. If I'm not distracted, if I'm not changing the music or texting people while I'm getting ready, which usually I don't because no one else is awake at 2:30 in the morning. Question number 2. This one I split in half because the latter part of it fits with a question I'm going to answer in a little bit. What does a weekend shift look like? Well, I worked the weekend shifts for the first year that I worked at my news station. I worked weekend mornings. My shift was usually 7 a.m. to 4 p.m., but that changed if there was breaking news. If something broke overnight, as things often do Friday and Saturday nights, I would get called in really anytime after 1 a.m. On a weekend shift in a smaller market, or really a lot of places, there's much less of a staff that works the weekend. It's much more condensed. For instance, 99% of the time on a weekend shift, I would be reporting on my own, MMJing as it's called, or being a multimedia journalist, which is a fancy word for being able to pitch, write, shoot, edit, and do everything for your story on your own. So whether it was a fire 45 minutes away in the middle of the night.
Some neighbors have lost everything. This is some of the remnants of what came off of the building behind me during this morning's fire, which we know happened around 2 a.m. this morning.
Or an event happening pre-COVID, I would drive my news car by myself with my camera gear, find the location, find out the story, shoot the story, come back to the station, write the story, edit the story, and then sometimes, usually most times, go live and toss to my package. Sometimes there will only be 1 or 2 people in the newsroom at a time on a weekend shift. And that's a really big responsibility and undertaking. For instance, my station covers parts of 4 different states and 2 time zones. There's a lot of news that happens in that amount of space, which sometimes can be a little chaotic. There was a period of time where I was really only about 7 or 8 months into this job, my first job as a journalist, and I was the fill-in morning weekend anchor for a while, right at the beginning of the outbreak of COVID-19. And as we still continue to do, we were reporting daily case counts and updates of outbreaks of COVID in certain areas or establishments. And a lot of the times it was really only me and the producer that was there taking these phone calls, sifting through these emails, contacting the appropriate authorities when we were given information. Long story short, you have to wear a lot of hats in the newsroom when you're there on the weekends. Mad respect for my weekend crews out there. No matter if you work in news, working the weekend is never anyone's first choice usually, and it's really tough. So props to you. Question number 3. What do I love most about my job and what are the downsides? Starting with what I love most, it's like what they say about a romantic partner. You need it to be someone who you just never stopped being amazed by every day. And every day you just keep rediscovering how incredible they are. That's how I feel about my job and the opportunity that I have to meet new people every single day that without a doubt always amaze me. In this job, I have met people on the best and worst days of their lives. But it's often on those worst days that you really can see the power and strength of human kindness. I've met people who have watched their families die in front of their eyes. And yet when I have the difficult job of approaching them hours, minutes after this has happened, they will still show me kindness and respect. Even if they don't want to talk to me, which usually I'm surprised when they do. And when I do get the opportunity to talk to them, if it's a couple hours or a couple days, weeks, months later, they will never say, how miserable they are or how angry they are for the terrible thing that happened to them. They'll usually just say how grateful they are to be alive, how grateful they were for the time they had with whatever loved one. Or if it's somebody who lost their house or their car in a fire or a storm or something like that, they'll always say, "Thank gosh it wasn't me. These material things can be replaced, but I can't." Or my sister who was in the room next to where the tree collapsed, I couldn't replace her. That's what I love most about my job, especially in these awful, trying, difficult times, is watching people still come together and look at the positives, even when things really can't be much worse. It truly puts things in perspective. And I like to say, I hope I don't have to experience a lot of what the people I meet go through. One more thing about what I love most about what I do. Whenever I get to interview somebody about something or someone they love, just watching their eyes light up and talk about something they're passionate about, that gives me life. I love seeing people be passionate about people or things. Now for the downsides. I'd have to say definitely the hours. Waking up at 2:30 a.m. is incredibly difficult and very draining. You never get used to it, at least I haven't. Also, I think it's the defeat that can come along with this job, but I know any job can experience that too. Working in news means covering breaking news. I can work all morning on a certain story or be in the middle of a story and news can break and I have to pick up and leave and scrap what I've been working on, or at least modify it drastically and it doesn't fulfill the vision that I had. That's especially the worst when it's a story that took you a long time to understand or interviews you had to work really hard to find or get. Another thing that's really hard to cope with, especially recently, is the relentless pressure that is put on journalists. We have a very important job. We're supposed to be helping you. We have a responsibility to give things factually, unbiasedly, and as honestly as possible. And even though I try my very best to do that every day, and I believe that I've been very successful at doing that, journalists are under fire right now no matter what we do. We can't win. I thankfully have been very lucky. I haven't been personally or physically attacked in the field. I've had very little backlash on social media. I really haven't had it that bad. But that pressure is always there of wondering when something like that is going to happen or could happen. And I have many friends who have had it really bad and who have been verbally, emotionally, physically attacked in the field, especially in recent times. So please be kind to your journalists. They just want to help you. Little interlude, I just needed to show you that Sugar is hiding behind me. Hi, Sugar, how are we? Question number 4. Do I feel like I was meant to do what I do, and how long have I wanted to do this career? Absolutely. I've always enjoyed connecting with an audience, whether it was in person on a stage, performing in theater or in band, or through a screen like I have with TV for the last several years. I also love being creative and making things that help people or make things that make people feel a certain way. I'm also a strange person who says that she loves public speaking, and I get to publicly speak every day at work. So, yeah. Question number 5. What has been my most memorable experience working on the Good Morning Chattanooga team thus far? Okay, I'm so bad at ever just picking out one thing when I'm asked, what is your favorite this? Or what is the best this? So I picked 3. I'll keep them short. One was this live shot when I was in a lemur enclosure and the lemurs were hanging on the camera gear.
I've never hung around with this many hangy little creatures before. Look, he's pulling on the cord
And
here.
Rolo up there hanging on the cord. So this is our group of 5.
2 was covering this last presidential election. And then 3 was this story I did with a woman named Wataboi. This was a story I did recently. It was COVID-19 related, and it was about how less and less women were coming in to get their yearly mammograms due to COVID-19 infection fears, not wanting to go to the hospital in fear of thinking that you'll get sick. Letitia was born with cerebral palsy. She discovered at 30 years old that she had breast cancer. That's 10 years before you're supposed to get your first mammogram as a woman. Cancer got really bad. It spread to her bones, her arm, her leg, her brain. But when I went to meet this woman, she was one of the nicest women I've ever met. And she was so strong and just so happy to be alive. And she told me about how she has trouble sleeping a lot of the times because of all of these complications. I told her that I have trouble sleeping a lot too because my work schedule makes it difficult. And then she looks me in the eyes and she says, wow, you know, I always like to say how much worse I could have it. I have it pretty good. I could have to wake up at 2:30 in the morning like you to go to work. I can stay up and watch TV whenever I want. And in that moment, again, like I do a lot of times with this job when I meet people in unimaginable circumstances, It just gives you so much perspective. I could not imagine living through what Letitia has lived through, but I also can't imagine her strength. She's awesome. Question number 6. What's something I was surprised with when I started? The quick answer to that is how close you can cut things when it comes to timing. It was my first day, and I remember I was still writing my story for the day up until about 4:15, 4:20 in the afternoon. I was in the 5 o'clock news show. And I remember saying to myself out loud, oh my gosh, it's 4:15. That's cutting it so close. I still have to do my makeup and read through my script and get ready. And then every day after that, I learned you were lucky if you were able to be in front of the camera more than 5 minutes before you went live on air. I've now learned that if I have more than 10 minutes to spare, that's incredible. And the last question for today, question number 7. What ways do I work to stay unbiased and fair? This is probably the most important thing that you need to do as a journalist. The best way, in my experience, to stay unbiased and fair is to literally just see it, say it. Say it like it is. So-and-so said so-and-so. You don't embellish on the facts. You say what someone said and you say that they said it. And if you're doing a story that includes research from a study, include that research. Show the numbers, let those speak for themselves. It is not my job as the storyteller to give an opinion. However, it can be my job to find other people to give their opinions. You are not the opinion giver, the people in your stories are. All right, sugar, I think that's enough questions for today, don't you think? Yes. Well, Sugar and I would like to thank you for watching this first part of answering questions you have about my job as a journalist. I will be doing a part 2 to this video. If you have questions about my job, please leave a comment, send me a message on Twitter, send me a message on Instagram, contact me somehow, leave me a comment or a question, and I will answer it in a future video. All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't yet, please subscribe, please hit that like button, and please hit that notification bell so that you know when I upload more videos. Have a rockin' rest of your week, everybody.